Let me ask you something, when was the last time you sat in complete silence? No phone, no screen, no noise, just you and your thoughts. Most people can't remember. And that's not an accident. You see, we live in a world that is constantly stealing our attention. Every ding on your phone, every scroll through your feed, every breaking headline, it's not just information. It's a distraction, and more than that, it's a thief. But here's the real tragedy: when your attention is stolen, your identity starts to disappear with it. You forget who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, because you're too busy reacting to the world instead of listening to your own inner voice. Every moment you give away to distraction is a moment you lose to yourself, and it's not just about time, it's about clarity, focus, purpose. Right now, you're living in a battlefield, and the war is for your mind, and the enemy, it's not just social media. It's not just endless notifications, it's the addiction to noise, it's the discomfort of stillness, it's the fear of facing your own thoughts. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But how can you master yourself when your attention is being hijacked every 5 seconds? Let's be honest, you can't build discipline, you can't build vision, you can't build a meaningful life if your mind is scattered across 100 shallow distractions. And the worst part, most people don't even realize it's happening. They think they're just catching up or killing time. But what they're really killing is clarity, consciousness, control. This is not a lecture, this is a wake-up call, because if you want to reclaim your life, your power, your purpose, it starts with one thing: reclaiming your attention. This is where the journey begins. This is the moment you draw a line in the sand and say, no more. No more letting the world pull your strings, no more letting algorithms shape your thoughts, no more leaking your energy into things that don't build the life you want. Comment below, "My mind is my fortress." Because if you don't take control of your attention, someone else will, and the price you'll pay is your future. Let me ask you something, when was the last time you had a quiet moment, completely free from distraction? No notifications, no scrolling, no buzzing in your pocket, just silence. If that feels rare, it's not your fault, it's by design. The modern world isn't just noisy, it's engineered to keep you distracted, to keep you weak. Every app you use, every social feed you scroll, every headline that grabs your attention, it's part of a system built to hijack your focus, built to keep your mind reactive instead of reflective. And while it might seem harmless, over time, it erodes something vital: your self-possession. Here's what most people don't realize: your attention is your power. Where your attention goes, your life follows. And if you don't control it, someone else will. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius understood this long before smartphones ever existed. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Now that might sound ancient, but it's more relevant than ever, because today's battlefield isn't in some distant land, it's right here, in your mind, and the weapons being used against you: notifications, algorithms, endless noise. These tools are not neutral, they are designed, intentionally, to exploit your psychology, to trigger dopamine, to spark outrage, to keep you addicted to reaction, instead of grounded in intention. But there's a different path. The Stoic path, the path of silence, stillness, and self-focus. In today's world, self-focus isn't selfish, it's a superpower. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics knew, that when you train your mind to stay centered, to focus on what you can control, you become resilient. You stop being pulled by every impulse, every headline, every mood swing caused by the chaos around you. You start leading yourself. Let me tell you something I've learned: when you begin reclaiming your attention, when you sit in silence, breathe deeply, and ask, what actually matters right now? You begin to see just how much of your energy was being drained by the unnecessary. This isn't easy, but that's what makes it powerful, because while the world chases noise, you choose clarity. While others scroll endlessly, you build discipline, and in that stillness, you grow stronger. So, if you've ever felt like you're constantly distracted, constantly overwhelmed, constantly pulled in every direction, know this: you're not broken, you're outnumbered, but you're not powerless. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of strength. Drop a comment below. Silence builds strength. Let that be your reminder, that in a world addicted to distraction, your focus is your revolution. Let's take a moment and clear the air. Self-focus isn't about locking yourself in a room, pretending to be deep, or cutting everyone off. It's not some mystical practice reserved for monks on a mountaintop. Instead, self-focus is the highest form of internal leadership. It's about taking ownership of where your energy and attention go, every single moment. Think about it. How often do you catch yourself mindlessly repeating what you've seen on social media, parroted from friends or headlines, rather than pausing to figure out what you actually think? Most of us aren't truly thinking for ourselves, we're running on mental autopilot, replaying loops of opinions and distractions we've absorbed. That's not freedom. That's programming. So, what does real self-focus look like? First, it starts with reclaiming your mind from the noise. Imagine your thoughts as a cluttered desk, papers everywhere, sticky notes spilling off the edge. Unless you actively clear that desk, you'll never find the single sheet you actually need. Self-focus is the act of clearing that clutter, noticing your impulses, your fears, your random thoughts, and asking, is this mine? Is this useful? Instead of reacting like a puppet to every ping or pop-up, you learn to observe your inner world without judgment. You see your emotions, your impulses, your mental chatter as data points, not as commands. Epictetus taught this nearly 2,000 years ago: no man is free who is not master of himself. In today's language, that means the moment you regain control of your attention, you begin to break the cycle of reactive living. Here's a simple exercise to try right now. Pause this video, close your eyes for 10 seconds, and ask, what am I feeling? What thoughts are running through my head? If you don't like the answer, if you discover anxiety, comparison, or random worries, that's okay. The point isn't to judge yourself, it's to become aware. Once you see those thoughts as separate from your true self, you can choose to let them go or to examine them more deeply, like a scientist studying data. That's the first step to reclaiming your mind from mental programming. Now, self-focus doesn't mean you ignore the world or become a hermit. It means you choose what to engage with. Picture a spotlight on a dark stage, everything outside the cone of light remains in shadow. You decide where the beam lands. Do you train it on what builds you up, learning a new skill, meaningful conversations, time with family, or do you let it wander aimlessly, chasing every buzz and notification? A focused mind doesn't avoid challenges, it selects them wisely. It doesn't shrink from discomfort, it understands that discomfort is often the gateway to growth. When you see your mind as a leader, you start defining your day by purpose instead of by whatever distracts you most. Let me share a quick example from my own life. A few months ago, I realized I was spending over an hour every morning scrolling through news articles and social feeds. I'd convinced myself it was staying informed, but at the end of it, I felt anxious and unfocused. So I swapped that habit for 5 minutes of journaling, just writing down my 3 most important tasks for the day. I felt an immediate shift. Instead of my mind being hijacked by external stories, it was primed for what mattered to me: creating, connecting, and moving forward. That small, active choice is self-focus in action. Here's the truth: self-focus is not passive. It's aggressive, not in a confrontational way, but in a committed way. Every time you say no to distraction, you're saying yes to purpose. Every time you turn your attention inward, you're sharpening your mental edge. Because make no mistake, your mind is a weapon. And if you don't train it, someone else will. Social media companies, clickbait headlines, and endless notifications are all waiting to hijack your thoughts, one ping at a time. But when you take back control, when you become the commander of your own mind, nothing external can dictate your inner state. So if you're ready to stop being a passenger in your own life, I want you to stand up, or sit up in your chair, look into the camera, and drop a comment below. I lead my mind. I don't follow the world. Say it like you mean it. Let that be your declaration, your first act of self-governance in a world designed to dilute your focus. Because once you internalize that truth, you'll notice everything changes. your emotions, your productivity, even your relationships. You'll stop chasing every distraction and start chasing a life that matters. Remember, this isn't some fluffy self-help slogan, and it's not about perfection. It's about daily, aggressive commitment to your own mental leadership. And that, right there, is the essence of Stoic self-focus in our modern world. Let's talk about a man who ruled an empire, yet understood more about inner peace than most of us ever will. His name was Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men in history. But more importantly, he was a Stoic. Imagine this: you're surrounded by war, betrayal, political pressure, even plagues. You have the weight of an entire civilization on your shoulders. And yet, Marcus didn't lose himself in the chaos. Why? Because his real power wasn't on the throne. It was in his mind. He wrote to himself in private journals, now known as meditations, reminding himself daily, you have power over your mind. Not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let that sink in. The storms outside of you may rage. But your peace doesn't have to depend on them. You see, the Stoics weren't emotionless. That's a huge misconception. They felt everything: fear, joy, pain, love. But they practiced the discipline of not being ruled by those emotions. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about not letting them drive your decisions, your identity, your sense of peace. Think about your own life. When stress hits, when things go wrong, when people disappoint you, where do you go? Do you lash out? Numb out? Shut down? Or do you go inward, steady yourself, and lead with intention? This is the essence of Stoic self-focus, being the calm in the storm. Not because you ignore the chaos, but because you've trained your mind not to be owned by it. And here's the thing: you don't have to be an emperor to apply this. You don't need a palace or a philosopher's robe. You just need a moment of stillness, a willingness to pause and ask, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. If it is, take action from a place of clarity, not reaction. This is what real strength looks like in the modern world. Not volume. Not aggression. But quiet resolve. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything, because it already knows who it is. So the next time life throws you into a storm, remember Marcus. Remember the Stoics. And remind yourself, I don't control everything, but I do control my mind. And that's more than enough. Let me ask you something: have you ever picked up your phone just to check one thing, and suddenly, 45 minutes are gone? You're not even sure what you were doing. Just scrolling. Swiping. Clicking. Consuming. That's not an accident, that's design. You see, distraction today isn't just a byproduct of modern life, it's a business model. The world you live in has been carefully engineered to steal your attention and sell it to the highest bidder. Every swipe, every like, every autoplay video, it's all part of a system that profits from keeping your mind fragmented and reactive. This isn't just about being busy or plugged in. This is behavioral manipulation. These platforms study your fears, your desires, your habits, and they use that data to pull you into loops you can't escape. And here's the part that should really wake you up: you're not just distracted by chance, you're being programmed to stay distracted. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who lived 2,000 years ago, said something chillingly relevant even today. He asked, if someone tried to take your body by force, you'd fight back. So why do you so easily hand over your mind? Think about that. We protect our homes, our money, our privacy, but our attention? We give that away like it's worthless, yet it's the most valuable thing we own, because where your attention goes, your life follows. This is a call to reclaim your mind, to realize that the endless scroll, the clickbait outrage, the addictive notifications, those aren't random. They're traps. And freedom doesn't come from more productivity apps. It comes from awareness. From intention. From saying, no more. Because when you master your mind, you master your time. When you master your attention, you take back your power. So the next time you reach for your phone out of reflex, pause. Ask yourself, is this choice mine? Or has it already been made for me? And if you want to start winning that battle, start here. Silence is strength. Awareness is armor. And discipline? That's freedom. Say it with me, I am the master of my mind. Let's talk about something that's becoming increasingly rare in our world: silence, not the awkward kind. Not the pause in a conversation. I'm talking about true silence, the kind where there's no scrolling. No background music, no dopamine hits every 5 seconds, just you, and your thoughts. You see, silence isn't empty. It's where the real battle begins, because when the noise is gone, there's no more hiding. You meet the real you, the thoughts you've buried, the feelings you've ignored, the truth you've been too distracted to face. They all rise to the surface, and that scares people, but the Stoics, they embraced it. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire, one of the most chaotic places in history, and yet, every morning, he sat in silence, writing, reflecting, grounding himself in reason. Why? Because silence wasn't a retreat. It was a weapon. A way to lead his mind, not be led by it. In fact, Stoics believed that silence was sacred. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And what better way to confront that imagination than in stillness, where you can see what's real and what's not? In silence, we take back control, we strip away the noise of the world, opinions, distractions, lies, and begin to think clearly, not reactively. Not emotionally, but with purpose. But let me ask you, when was the last time you sat in silence on purpose, not in traffic? Not because your phone died, but because you chose to be still. Modern society runs from silence like it's a threat. We fill every second of every day with something, scrolling, watching, listening, reacting, and all it does is numb us to the sound of our own thoughts. But here's what they don't tell you: silence is a strategy. It's how you reclaim your clarity. It's how you sharpen your instincts. It's how you start thinking original thoughts again, not recycled opinions from the internet. In silence, you remember who you are, you gain the courage to ask hard questions, you see what really matters, and you realize, most of the noise out there is just a distraction from the work you actually need to do inside. So if the world feels too loud, if you're overwhelmed, scattered, reactive, don't add more noise. Take a step back, find your quiet, because that's where your power is waiting. Remember, my silence is strategic. And in that silence, you become unshakable. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying a conversation you had days ago? Or worrying about market crashes, social media trends, or what someone said about you 5 years back? If so, you're not alone. Most of us spend a huge chunk of our mental energy wrestling with things we can't control: algorithms that decide what pops up on our feed, other people's opinions, or the choices we made in the past. But here's the thing Stoics taught long ago, and it couldn't be more true in 2025, is this within my control? That simple question is like a mental filter. It's the line in the sand between freedom and turmoil. When you train yourself to ask it honestly, you start to see how much of your suffering comes from chasing shadows, worrying about things you'll never change. Think about it: you wake up, check your phone, and get hit with notifications, news headlines screaming disaster, friends out there living what looks like picture-perfect lives, and advertisers promising some quick fix to your anxiety. It's easy to feel powerless. But ask yourself, can you control what Twitter's trending? No. Can you change someone's opinion of you? Not directly. Can you rewrite your past? Absolutely not. So why give your power away to those things? Instead, focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your responses. That's where real strength lives. Let me share a quick story from my own life. A few months back, I got caught up reading comments on an article about my work. Some of them were harsh. Instantly, I felt a rush of anger and self-doubt. But then I remembered that question: is this within my control? I realized I could control my reaction. I could choose not to take it personally, or to learn if there was something valuable in their feedback. So instead of spiraling, I took a deep breath, stepped away from my screen, and reminded myself that my only job was to stay true to my own standards, not theirs. The emotional storm passed quickly, and I got back to creating. That's the core of Stoic strength, being unshakable because you invest your energy only where it matters. When you lock onto what you can control, your effort, your mindset, your discipline, you become bulletproof against gossip, market swings, and yesterday's regrets. Let's put it into practice right now. Think of one thing that's been bothering you recently. Maybe you're upset about a coworker's backhanded comment, or anxiety about the economy's latest dips, or frustration that you didn't stick to your fitness goals last year. Now pause and ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, mentally let it go, like dropping a heavy backpack you've been carrying. If the answer is yes, ask, what can I do about it, right here, right now? Maybe that means having a calm conversation with your coworker to clear the air. Maybe it means reminding yourself that you can't control the economy, but you can control your budget. Maybe it means setting a new, realistic fitness plan that fits your schedule instead of beating yourself up over old mistakes. Here's another angle: the Stoics didn't advocate indifference or passivity. They taught clarity, not ignoring problems entirely. When you focus on what you can control, you actually see challenges more clearly, because you're not clouded by anxiety over the uncontrollable. That clarity helps you respond with intention and purpose, rather than react out of stress or fear. Imagine your mind as a sniper's scope. You adjust it, eliminate the blurry edges, and zero in on a single, clear target, your next action. Everything else falls away: whispers of doubt, external drama, random what-ifs. You become stable in every storm because you're rooted in what you can do. Now think, how many hours per week do you spend worrying about the past? Or about things you can't change? How many times have you replayed a negative thought loop about something someone else did? Each second spent there is a second you could have used to move forward. So let that be your challenge today: whenever you catch yourself worrying, pause and ask, is this within my control? If it isn't, let it go. If it is, take decisive, focused action, no more, no less. That one question is your mental shield, because at the end of the day, the only thing truly yours is your mind and how you choose to use it. Every moment you spend focused on what you can't change is a moment you lose. But every moment you spend on what you can change, that's where your power, your clarity, and your freedom live. Drop a comment below: I protect my power. Let's remind ourselves that in a world chasing noise and drama, we choose mastery of our own minds. Have you ever imagined your mind not as a fragile glass house, but as an ancient fortress, unyielding, resilient, and unshakable? Picture this: from the moment you wake up, the world is already knocking on your gates: emails, notifications, the morning news, social feeds begging for attention. If you don't have a fortress in place, your mind is like a house with no locks, susceptible to every intrusion, every worry, every emotional attack that comes your way. But what if you could build that fortress brick by brick, right where you are? That's exactly what self-focus is: a construction crew laying the foundation of mental strength. Every time you say no to a distraction, be it an impulsive scroll through your phone or a reactive argument in the comments, you place another brick in your fortress wall. Every time you choose not to let a surge of anger or insecurity control you, you're sealing a crack that could allow noise in. Every moment of genuine silence, when you sit in stillness and turn inward, you're reinforcing your foundation. That's not magic. It's strategy. Let me ask you, how often have you felt your mind hijacked before your feet even hit the floor? Your phone dings. A headline flashes. A notification pops up. Instantly, you're in reaction mode: heart rate spikes, mood shifts, productivity tanking before you've even sipped your coffee. That's your mind behaving like a house with shattered windows, open to every gust of wind, every passing thought. But a fortress looks different. Its gates don't creak open at the first hint of noise. Instead, the gates stand firm, allowing in only what you decide is worthy. Self-focus is the architect and the builder of that fortress. It means taking responsibility for what you let through your mental walls, and just as importantly, what you keep out. Think of it this way: every day, you face micro-battles. An urge to check social media the moment you wake up. A temptation to replay a troubling conversation in your head. A wave of anxiety about something beyond your control. Each of these moments is like an enemy soldier testing your walls. If you give in, the wall crumbles, and the mind loses its hold. But if you stand strong, if you pause, acknowledge the urge or emotion, and choose not to let it rule you, you demonstrate the very essence of Stoic self-focus. Now, let's dive deeper. In real life, you can't avoid stressors, deadlines, difficult bosses, relationship drama, or unpredictable world events. But here's the critical difference: a mind that's built like a fortress filters these stressors through a lens of what can I control. You don't waste energy on what you can't change. Instead, you focus on your response, your effort, your attitude, your next action. When you feel a social media post trigger envy or anger, pause. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Usually, it's not, and when you realize that, you can let it go. When a friend criticizes you unfairly, ask, can I control their opinion? No. Can I control how I respond? Absolutely. That moment of self-focus is a mortar layer sealing your fortress. Over time, those moments add up. So how do you get started with this mental construction project? Here are 3 practical steps. 1. Daily check-ins. Before you reach for your phone, take 30 seconds to breathe deeply and set your intention. Decide, today, I will be the gatekeeper of my attention. That simple pause builds awareness and reinforces your mental walls before they're tested. 2. Emotional inspections. Whenever you feel a surge of frustration or anxiety, treat it like a crack in the fortress. Instead of letting the emotion take you hostage, observe it without judgment. I notice anger. I notice fear. What happens if I simply watch it pass? By acknowledging and then releasing that emotion, you strengthen the wall. 3. Strategic silence. Schedule moments of true stillness, no screens, no external noise, where you sit with your thoughts. This might be 5 minutes in the morning or a short walk without headphones. In that silence, you're smelting raw emotions and distractions down to pure awareness. That's your foundation becoming ironclad. None of this is taught in school. No one walks you through building a mental fortress in job training or parenting classes. But consider this: everything in your life, your decisions, your habits, your relationships, flows from the security of your mind. If your mind is vulnerable, your entire life feels vulnerable. Conversely, if your mind is fortified, nothing external can shake you without your permission. Now, I'm not talking about shutting yourself off from the world or becoming emotionally numb. Stoicism doesn't preach indifference. It preaches clarity, seeing the world as it is, feeling your emotions fully, but not being led by them. It's about choosing what to let through your gates and what to leave out in the cold. Think of someone you admire, maybe a leader who remains calm under pressure, a friend who never seems rattled by drama, or an athlete who stays focused even when the stakes are high. What do they have in common? They've built their inner fortress. They've trained their mind to serve them, not the other way around. So here's your challenge: figure out where your walls are weakest. Is it the morning scroll through your phone? Is it replaying old embarrassments in your mind? Is it allowing gossip or drama to distract you? Wherever your weakness lies, that's where you start laying bricks. Every time you resist a distraction, you're one brick closer to an unshakable mind. Every time you choose reflection over reaction, you're one layer of mortar sealing the wall. And every time you sit in silence, you're ensuring that foundation can stand under any storm. If you're ready to become your own strongest ally, if you're ready to guard your mental boundaries like a seasoned general, drop a comment below. I am my safe place. Let that be your declaration: your mind is not a fragile glass house. It's a fortress. And you are the architect, the builder, and the defender. Build well, and no external force will control your focus, your peace, or your power. Let's get real: motivation is fleeting. Discipline fades. But if you're serious about building unshakable focus, you need more than just theory. You need a system. A daily practice. Something simple, repeatable, and powerful enough to hold steady when life tries to pull you in every direction. So how do we train the mind like a Stoic warrior in the middle of modern chaos? It starts the moment you wake up. 1. Begin your day in silence, no phone. No emails. No talking. Just 10 minutes, alone with your thoughts. Why? Because in that silence, you reclaim your mind before the world gets a chance to hijack it. Most people roll over and dive headfirst into noise. But you, if you're intentional, can sit quietly, breathe deeply, and decide how you want to think before the world tells you what to think. In a world of noise, silence is a superpower. 2. Practice thought auditing. Throughout the day, pause and ask, is this thought useful? Is it even mine? It's shocking how many of our thoughts are just echoes of headlines, opinions, or fears that don't belong to us. The Stoics believed that not every thought deserves your attention, only those that serve your purpose. When you learn to question your mental traffic, you start driving your mind instead of being driven by it. 3. Block time for deep work. Choose 60 to 90 minutes each day, no distractions, no notifications, no multitasking. Just focused work. This is where real progress happens. This isn't just a productivity hack, it's a mental workout. When you train your brain to go deep, you sharpen your ability to think clearly, to create, and to stay calm under pressure. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations between texts and emails, he created space for thought. You need to do the same. 4. Journal like a strategist, not just I feel sad or today was hard. Go deeper, write about your patterns. What triggered you? What distracted you? What did you do about it? Your journal becomes your personal operations manual. Day by day, it reveals your mind's blueprint. When you write not just to vent, but to analyze, you gain power. That's not therapy, it's strategy. 5. Embrace boredom. Yeah, I said it, embrace boredom. Turn off the screen. Put down the phone. Sit on a bench. Stare at a wall. Take a walk without music or podcasts. Most people can't go 5 minutes without stimulation, but boredom is not your enemy. It's where clarity lives. It's where creativity breathes. If you're never bored, you're probably never really thinking. The Stoics knew this. They deliberately made space to detach from distraction, and that space became their edge. So here's the bottom line, you don't need a perfect routine, you don't need a monastery or a mountain retreat. You just need daily, intentional reps, 10 minutes of silence, a few deep breaths, a block of focused work, a page in your journal, a walk without your phone. These aren't trends, they're ancient tools, repackaged for a distracted age. You want a sharper mind? Build it, one habit at a time. Drop a comment below, my focus is my freedom. Let the world know, you're not just surviving the noise, you're mastering it. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear, self-focus isn't a one-time breakthrough, it's a daily battle, a practice. A commitment. Every day, the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. Notifications, opinions, drama, distraction, but you, if you choose it, can take your power back. You can turn your focus inward, not in a selfish way, but in a strategic way, because when you control your mind, you control your life, not just your productivity, your peace, your decisions, your reactions, your future. The Stoics knew this long before neuroscience confirmed it. A focused mind is an armed mind. And a mind that's armed cannot be controlled. Think about that. In a world where attention is currency, the ability to focus is an act of rebellion. So how do you stay on this path? You journal like a strategist. You document your mental patterns, not just your feelings. You study your reactions, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. You track the inner game like a warrior sharpening his sword. And yes, you even embrace boredom. You allow yourself to sit in silence without reaching for stimulation, because in that stillness, your clarity is born. No screen. No scrolling. Just space. That's where the fortress of your mind is reinforced. So let's be clear, this journey is not about perfection, it's about practice. Every choice to say no to distraction, every moment of silence you protect, every thought you examine instead of obey, those are bricks in the foundation of your strength, and over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. So stay on the path, stay in the fight, and remember this, you are not just protecting your focus. You are protecting your freedom. If that resonates with you, comment below, I choose focus daily. Because focus is no longer optional, it's your superpower.